Welcome to Eye Contact, a video news programme on issues and controversies in ophthalmology sponsored by EUROTIMES. I'm Paul Rosen, and today we're going to be discussing Phacoemulsification. Phaco is a skill every surgeon must master, and we'll be talking about the first steps involved in learning the ins and outs of Phaco with Dr. Nino, researcher at the Vienna Institute for Research in Ocular Surgery. Nino, welcome. It wasn't that long ago that you first performed your first Phaco procedure, and I wondered if you could just tell us about it. Were you nervous? How long did it take? And what was the outcome?
Sure. So actually I started from back to front. So I started with just hydrating the wound at first and removing the viscoelastics and then implanting the lens. And of course for you that sounds like really little steps, but for me I was very nervous at the beginning. So my hands were shaky on the microscope. And the first thing was just to handle this fear and also of the microscope and just getting calmed down. And then when it came to Phacoemulsification, it was getting easier. So my hands were calmed down. I was not so nervous anymore, but still very nervous. And it was very dense, very concentrated, of course. And then when I did my very first cataract surgery, so the full surgery, that was on a Friday, I still remember, it was 9 o'clock. And they called me from the outpatient clinic and they asked, so please calm down now, do your first cataract surgery. And I knew that because I did the Rexes before, I did the Phacoemulsification, but always step by step. And I thought, today will be the day when I will do my first full Phaco. And I went down and I started with cataract surgery, did the incision, went fine, and I started with the Rexes, and I couldn't create a flap. And that was very annoying because I wanted to do really the full case today. And I just fiddled around, and then I just got a flap. I was very happy, and I just continued with the Rexes. It was roundish. It was not perfectly round, but roundish. And I started with Phaco, and then I couldn't get the first crack. Again, very annoying, and I thought, okay, the groove, I did divide and conquer. So the groove was pretty deep. I thought, I'm very afraid to go deeper, and my supervisor was just next to me, told me, you have to go a little bit deeper, and I was getting a little bit frightened again. And I got a little bit deeper, and then I saw on the fundus a little bit, so the red of the fundus. I said, okay, now I have to do the crack, and I got the crack. It was a complete crack, and again, I was very happy. And so, yeah. I finished my divide and conquer technique, did IA, and everything went fine. I don't know how long it took. It took me from my feeling to gauges. Of course, I think it was probably close to half an hour. I don't know, but 25, 30 minutes, I think, something like that. So pretty long, yeah. And I was very tired afterwards.
And how long did it take you to get to that step of doing the first Phaco?
So, I started with hydration was 3 times, 4 times at the start, and removing visco was like 3 times. And then implanted the lens was just once. And then I just continued with IA. And I think I did 5 cases with IA. Okay. And then, of course, always to the end. And yeah, that worked out.
And how many opportunities per week did you get to do surgery?
That's a tricky question. It was at the beginning it was much more difficult. So I did a wet lab first.
Yeah.
And then that was really cool. I was 1 week in the OR, entire week, just observing, doing little steps. And that was very important for the very beginning. And then, of course, I didn't have my surgery day. I just had to ask the consultant, okay, could I go to the operating theater today? And then I was able to go probably once a week, twice a week, something like that. But since sometime I have my 2 operating days when I know I will be there for 2 hours, so 1 hour each day. And that's, of course, much more relaxing now, sure. Yeah.
And what do you think the main obstacles or the main difficulties are for people when they're learning Phaco?
As for me, at least, there are 2 obstacles. One of them is the skills, learning the skills itself, which means the Rexes. So sometimes you start the Rex, it goes not easy, but it's fine. And you do the very same thing and it doesn't work. And you think about it, I watch videos, I always videotape, and I think I did it exactly the same time, but this time the same way it didn't work out this time. And this is the first obstacle. I think you have to do it again and again, and I have very good supervisors, and they will always be at my side, and they will tell me, okay, do it differently, do it this wise. And of course, we do iLearn and all these things to get better. And the second obstacle, which is probably even more tricky to handle, is the psychological aspect. Yeah. So now that I know that I'll be the first in operating theater, I go to bed early. I have no coffee in the morning. You gave a talk about coffee as well. And yeah, for me it matters, I think. Yeah. At least psychologically, I don't know. I don't drink coffee. And I try to concentrate, listen to good music in the morning to be really focused when I go to the operating theater. And that helps me a lot. And the second thing is if you have a complication. So I had a capsule rupture, and that was again on a Friday at that time. And going back on Tuesday, next time to operating theater, and what do I have to do today? I have to calm down. I don't want to have another complication, and you get a bit more frightened and scared again. And then to calm down and do the surgery and not having a complication, of course, always helps them to improve again. And the thing about cataract surgery, at least for me, is it's not a linear learning curve, which would be beautiful, of course, that you get better every time that you do it. But you do some cases, then you get more self-confident, and you try a little bit more, and something happens, and then you say, I shouldn't have been doing that, or whatever, and then it's just a way, and then probably you don't even know what you did wrong, but just something happens. No complication, but just something like you don't...
Every patient's different, aren't they?
Sure, of course. Yeah. But you can't complete a crack or something, so it's just always different.
Can I ask you, have you an idea of how many cases you think you need to do before you become competent?
I mean, I can definitely tell you that I didn't do enough to answer the question, for sure. But when I observe also colleagues who did many hundred cases, I have the impression that after 100 cases, you have a feeling about what you do. And after 400 to 500 cases, you really have a feeling about what you do. And once a colleague told me after 1,000 cases, then you can do the tricky ones. And I don't know if that's true.
Depends on the individual surgeon.
Okay, sure.
We've now got femtosecond assisted cataract surgery. And I just wonder the impact of that on training, what sort of training you need in FLACS, and someone who's at the beginning of their surgical career.
So we don't have a femtosecond laser, so yeah. But what people tell me, I mean, they have one in Salzburg, for example, and it seems to be at least not more difficult to do cataract surgery. I think for a beginner, it's very important to learn every step, because if the Phaco machine breaks, if the femtosecond laser breaks down or whatever, and you don't know how to do a Rexis, then you will be in big trouble. Yeah. Or if something goes wrong with, and you think, okay, in this case, I really have to do a manual Rexis, and you should be really confident with that. So I think every young surgeon has to learn that anyhow. And I also think that you should do it before you start with any laser surgery, just to have a feeling.
And what do you think the future is for the next 30 years of your career? Is it going to be FLACS, or do you think something else will come?
Well, I mean, there is no disadvantage in FLACS, I think. That was proven more or less. There was not really proof that there's so much advantage. I mean, there might be advantage for young surgeons because they would have less complications, but that's not the way to go, of course, because they have to learn it anyway. And otherwise, I think it has potential. I think it's very expensive now. The cost and benefit situation is not very good now with these machines, but I think that will improve significantly, hopefully. And I think there is some potential for the future. Okay. But still, for now, we have to learn real Phacoemulsification. Okay.
Very good. Nino, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us. And for more information on this and related topics, please visit us at eurotimes.org. Thank you.